Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, as always, to Beyond the Mic, the sports podcast where two guys that get paid to talk about the games actually get to share their opinions on the games. John Clendenin, joined as always by my wonderful, I don't want to say co-host because he usually does most of the heavy lifting around here, my host extraordinaire, Carlos Zimmermann, and what was a wild week in not just our coverage, but also in our fandoms. A&M, biggest comeback in program history. Sam Houston has a winning streak in a season that we thought maybe they would never get off the mat or off the launch pad if you go by their name in the bottom 10, which they may now exit. It may be an exit from the bottom 10 for Sam Houston. Not to mention a wild week of the Texas high school football bi-district round of the playoffs, in which Carlos and I had a good time. We had a little road trip on a Friday night up to Marshall, watched a very good competitive game, and now our teams are moving on. So, Carlos, why don't we go ahead and start with you, because as amazing as the comeback was for A&M, I think Sam Houston holding on against Delaware might be an even more miraculous thing.
Yeah, it was a spectacle, to say the least, and it was a sight for sore eyes after the season Sam Houston's had, and I was impressed with how they really held their own against a very electric passing attack that Delaware prides. I was talking with their radio guy, Scott Klatskin, and he said, I asked him, I was like, Sam has had troubles stopping the run this season. What do you think is going to happen? I was like, no, you're going to see pass, pass, pass. But then Delaware, out of the gate, they go run, run, run. And I was blown away by that. And their rushing attack was solid. And Delaware's, passing game, Nick Minicucci, he's a very solid quarterback for them. But what I think the difference was for Sam Houston in the second and third quarter was they were able to sustain drives, something they had struggles with throughout the season. A lot of times they would go 3 and out on opening drives, and then which did happen in this ball game against Delaware. But when they started to mount their rally in the second quarter and into the second half, it just felt different, to say the least, about this team. And I was impressed by how Landon Locke really just adapted to the ball game. His first career start, he started the ball game 2 for 11, and a lot of his passes were, they were off target, behind his intended target. And then he finishes the game 14 for 27 and started to feel more comfortable. 213 yards. Didn't have a passing touchdown. Didn't have an interception. Really, the offensive production came from Coco Brown. If you saw the final score graphic, there's a picture. It's a picture of him hurdling a Delaware defender, 2 Delaware defenders, it felt like, and then he was off to the races, and that's what really aided Sam Houston at the end of the day. An awesome game for him, but I think equally a great game for the defense. Really, their coming out party. I'll tally up the sacks that they had here real quick. 8 sacks for the ball game, and that was their best performance in quite a long time. You have to go back to 2019, the last time the defense had a sack performance like they did, and it was impressive to see. It was Christopher Eaton. He had 3 sacks, the most sacks for a Bearcat in a single game in 5 years, which is duly impressive. Just got pressure on Minicucci and made him feel uncomfortable, and I think that's what ultimately was the difference in that ball game. And look at Bearcats now. Got their first win last week against Oregon State. Now they have their first conference win of the season. Now they're going to be going on the road to Middle Tennessee, who has been struggling, to say the least. They're 1-9. The Bearcats are no longer the last team in Conference USA. That's now Middle Tennessee, who lost to Western Kentucky over the weekend. So that's going to be a battle of 2 teams at the bottom just trying to salvage their seasons, and right now the Bearcats are doing a better job of doing that.
Well, and when we talked about at the on the car ride back from Marshall on Friday night, I saw the record for Delaware. I saw 5-4, but I was like, you never know what that first win will do for a team. UMass kicks the field goal to lose 42-3 to shoot off their celebratory fireworks. And, the question is, why does UMass football have celebratory fireworks? Don't know, but I digress. The grit of this team, it's really easy when things are rolling and you're undefeated to shake off some struggles and hold on. When you're 0-8 and to win 2 games in a row the way you have, a game of just immense special team plays where your offense isn't very good, then you win that one, and then you come back at home and you take care of business against, I say home. You come back to your designated home stadium
For now.
and to beat a team that's vying for a bowl. They would have won. They would have been bowl eligible in their first year at the FBS level. It says a lot to hold on. And so I'm excited with what Coach Longo is building, and it's starting to be very reminiscent of me of that 2024 season, or 2023 season, where they started off 0 for 7 or 0 for 8.
0 for 8.
It was 0 for 8, and then they beat Middle Tennessee on the field goal.
Kennesaw.
Or they beat Kennesaw. Mm-hmm. You beat Kennesaw State, your fellow newcomer to the league, and then you beat Middle Tennessee at home for your first home win. Because they beat Kennesaw on the road.
Yeah, that was the season finale.
Yeah, that's right. So you beat Kennesaw on the road, and then you beat La Tech, and then season finale, you close your season with a walk-off field goal against Middle Tennessee. I think if they can continue to build, there's a lot to be excited about a team closing on 4 straight victories. It's going to be a fun into the season. Like I said, you have Middle Tennessee State this week. They're not the best team. They were a fellow bottom 10 participant for most of the season with the Bearkats. But now I think the Bearkats are going to fall out of that ESPN bottom 10.
I sure hope so.
And so we're gonna have that game, and then who do they close with?
They will close with FIU the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Okay, and so that's a team that you beat at their place last year.
Barely. But
still, you won. It was a Miami Vice night,
mm-hmm.
and they had their Vice night uniforms, and everything was going on. And if you can win this week, and then have a bye week over Thanksgiving, right?
It'll be it'll be a regular.
Okay, so
week.
It'll be a regular week, but still, if you win this week and you've won 3 in a row, I feel very good about the Bearkats continuing to build, especially now your guys Landon Locke. I know a lot of people around the program talked about him potentially redshirting this year, and they really liked what they saw from him. But now you just roll him out there. You're winning games. Having him get that experience is more valuable than keeping him an extra year of eligibility, because you can now start to compete for next year, building the foundation this year. So, very exciting weekend down at Shell Energy. I was thinking about you as I was up north of Woodville, and I had a friend that had a bachelor party. So, we were sitting there watching college football, and they're all Sam Houston grads. So, we got Georgia versus Texas on the big projector, and we're flipping between that and Florida and Ole Miss as that game, the Lane Bowl, was kind of coming to a close.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I hear, hey, we're up against Delaware. And I was like, oh, no. Carlos Zimmermann is, oh, gosh. That's sorry, if you don't know, we are watching, we have the Sunday ticket up, and I don't know who it was that just fumbled going into the end zone. But if that's DeMarcado,
I don't think that was a tight end.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, just how many fumbles at the goal line are the Cardinals going to get this year?
I was going to be really upset if that was DeMarcado because I had to start him this week.
I also had to start him. Yeah,
I don't think he broke it.
That ball's out.
Speaking of breaking things, Derrick Henry on the other box. My goodness.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sorry. We're our ADHD's about pulling us away. But yeah, it's going to be a fun close to the season for me. I'm excited to watch as a Bearcat fan and somebody who knows people throughout the athletic department, both in operations and in other sports and on the coaching staffs, that everybody pulls for each other. So
yeah,
it's always a better vibe around Huntsville too.
I'll say this last thing before we transition over to A&M. One guy I was really excited about for this weekend was Christian Pavon, kicker for Sam Houston. This guy, he's had quite the journey. He walked on and has, believe it or not, had some of the biggest kicks in program history. His first very one was the extra point to win the final battle of the Piney Woods.
Okay.
Or sorry, no. It was the second to last Piney Woods, I believe, in 21. And he hit the extra point to go ahead. I had that call on 90.5, and that was just such a cool experience. And then, of course, he hits the go-ahead field goal against Texas State last year. Last week against Oregon State, he had a tough game. He went 0 for 2. But then last night, he goes 4 for 5, and that's 12 points on the board. That ultimately was the difference at the end of the game. There was a 3-point win for the Bearkats, so his field goal kicking was huge. And so shout out Christian Pavon. Great night last night in Shell Energy Stadium, and I'm so happy for this team, and can't wait to see what happens as we head to Nashville and over to Murfreesboro after that.
That's going to be fun for you. You get to go to Nashville. That's one of those trips that you're always like, man, okay, if I have to figure it out, I'm going to make the Hawaii trip.
Yeah.
That one's definitely circled. And, man, then I also have to go to Nashville for work. Oh, man.
Darn.
I can't believe I have to go to Nashville, Tennessee, and they're paying me to go there. As long as there's no beach excursions.
No, I don't think
in Nashville.
We're not going to have to worry about that.
Oh, gosh. I would have paid money to see you in the hula skirt.
Look, there is a video in my phone of me doing the hula, and that's never gonna see the light of day. I'm just saying right now that will not happen. Okay, now let's pivot over to your fandom at the college level. The Texas A&M Fighting Aggies.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Carlos.
Look, I saw the score at halftime, and I'm like, "Oh, John has to be losing his mind right now." I didn't text you on purpose because I didn't want to bother you.
I think everybody knew not to text me, because I was just, Let me tell you, man, my wife, I love her so much.
God bless her.
God bless her in my sports, and I turned off our TV in the living room because I had to hit the road, and I also was just like, it's not worth me just postponing this getting on the road any further. I'll just listen to our friend Andrew Monaco. Andrew has such a way of painting things that it takes the sting out of those heartbreaking moments for me. Well, my wife, as I'm leaving, goes, "Are you okay?" And I didn't hear her. And I was like, "Okay, I'm heading out." And she's like, "You're just not going to answer my question?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "I asked if you were okay." And I was like, "Yeah, babe, you're right. It's just a game. Just sports." And I walk out of the room, and I walk back in. I'm like, and it's Texas A&M football, and they're always going to hurt me, so I should just get used to it. But I'm fielding texts. Mainly, the only texts I were getting at the time were emotional support and wellness checks on me. And my friend texted me, and we had a brief conversation about the game. And I told him I had prayed to the Lord, and I'm not going to disclose what I prayed about, but I was like, "Lord, just let the Aggies win this game, and I'll do X, Y, and Z." And I told my friend about it, and then they score the first touchdown, and he texts me, and then we score the second touchdown, and he texts me again. And then we score the third touchdown. And on that third touchdown, he responds with, "You realize if they win, you're going to have to do the things that you told the Lord you were going to do." And I said, "Absolutely, I know that." And so I said, "I have no problem doing all of those things if Texas A&M wins this football game." And then Andrew, they score the tying touchdown with an extra point to go take the lead. And I sat there and I was like, man, there was a brief moment of time where I was like, if this kicker misses this kick and we're tied and we did all this work to come back, then I'm going to have I may drive off the road. And so then we get the ball back and we stop them and I'm listening. And then I just hear Andrew and Dave Elmendorf go, "Oh no, what has happened?" And that's when they threw the outside pass, which, by the way, I understand the frustration with the play call, but the same people in the fandom of A&M that are saying, why didn't you just run the ball up the middle, Klein? Why are you trying to get fancy? That's the same group of people last year that when we ran, we were inside the 1 yard line 6 times against Texas. 6 times to win the game against Texas. And we ran up the middle 6 times and didn't get it from the 1 yard line. So that subset of fans that were like, we need to do something different than just lining up and they know we're going on the A gap. He tried something different and it didn't work. And if it did work, everybody would say he was a mastermind. So,
But it didn't.
So now fans are going to say it's wrong. But, I'm looking at the first half stats, 30-3. South Carolina outgained A&M 312 to 132. They were 10 of 20 for 204 yards. They outrushed A&M 108 to 9 or -9. And then you go to the second half. A&M outscores them 28-0, outgains them 371 to 76, outrushes them 73 to 13, outpasses them 298 to 63. Marcel Reed goes 16 for 20 for 298 yards and 3 touchdowns in the second half. People are saying that he loses the Heisman in the first half. Well, why didn't Francisco Mendoza lose the Heisman for Indiana in his first half against Penn State?
Sure.
And we talk about the Heisman moment that he had in that last final drive. How about Marcel Reed coming back down 27 in the second half?
Impressive.
I mean, it's the most impressive quarterback performances you will ever see. It's the only performance that, the meme where it's like Tom Brady looking down at the plate or at the tablet and it's 28-3,
Yeah.
and he wins the Super Bowl. That's the only game and performance that can compare to that we've ever seen. So, we'll talk about the college football playoffs in a little bit, but I wonder if the committee is going to keep the same energy they had where they said, we really respected Indiana, coming back on and taking down a talented Penn State team that was a preseason top 10 team.
Yep.
Right? Well, South Carolina was ranked number 10 in week 1 of the year.
Yes, they were.
Lenora Sellers was a projected Heisman candidate and first-round pick. There's no difference between South Carolina and Penn State. Besides, South Carolina and Shane Beamer actually would win the games against AP teams in November, and James Franklin wouldn't. As much as Shane Bieber going and hyping up the crowd at halftime has gone around on Twitter, Shane Bieber at least wins those games. They showed his stat against the AP, and I don't know. I'm getting on too much of a tangent off bleeding to college football, but it was an electric game to be a part of as a fan, and it's one of those games that, regardless of how this season wraps up for A&M, 10, 15, 20 years from now, they're going to be still talking about. I think, for example, my mom and dad have covered A&M athletics for longer than I was alive. My dad still works for the athletic department. The previous biggest comeback against an AP-ranked team was against Oklahoma State in 1997. It was the first ever comeback they had. They were down 20. Or no, they were down 16, right? And my mom still tells the story about how when they scored in overtime to beat Oklahoma State at Kyle Field, she flung her hands up in the air in celebration, and she hit her hand, and now she has a knuckle that's bigger than the rest of them.
Huh.
So it's going to be the same way that and then this year A&M releases a YouTube video about that comeback. This is the same kind of thing that in however many years A&M is going to release stuff about this comeback. And so for this team, for all the jokes about A&M and who A&M is as a program and always will be and always has been, the old teams of A&M's past would lose this game. It would probably have been about 44-22. Right? A&M would have scored a couple times, made it close. South Carolina would score one, A&M would respond, and South Carolina would score one or two more times, and then it would be like, oh, okay, well, we almost got back into the fight. No, they came out and they ran South Carolina out of Kyle Field. I mean, they ended up outgaining South Carolina 503 to 388. South Carolina outgained them 312 to 131 in the first half. So, we can talk about Heisman's and award winners, Marcel Reed, Cassius Howell, Casey Concepcion, who didn't have a receiving touchdown, but 6 catches, 150-plus yards. This team, it's one of those feelings you get that a team is a team of destiny. That, hey, they just, no matter what you've thrown at them, there's been no quit. Sure. So it's a special season. It's one that I'm enjoying being a part of the ride of, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it wraps up. Senior night's next week against Samford. You should walk into DKR 11-0 with a chance to be the number 1 team in the country if you win. So, that being said, Texas did not help your case this past week.
No, they
going
did not.
to Georgia, or losing to Georgia in blowout fashion. And so now we can transition to what we always do, because we got new AP rankings, and there has been some movement. And
everyone in the top 10 moving up, save Alabama. I mean, your top 3 remain the same. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M. Indiana only getting 8 first-place votes. A&M just the 1. Ohio State gets the rest with 57. Georgia is up 1-4. Ole Miss is up 1-5. Oregon up 1-6. Tech moves up and is actually tied with Oregon for 6th. Oklahoma up 3 with their win over Alabama. Notre Dame stays packed at 9. Bama drops to 10. Do you like that top 10?
I think the top 5 are the top 5. You can't put Bama ahead of Oklahoma. Georgia just beat a top 10 team in Texas, even though they just fell down to in the rankings. Tech has the BYU win. Georgia has the Ole Miss win. Oklahoma has the Bama win. The 2 that feel kind of out of place for me is Oregon and Notre Dame. Oregon, I don't know really who they've beaten. When you go and you look at their schedule, I mean, I know Happy Valley was, a few weeks ago or at the beginning of the season was a great win. That reminds me of a lot of, the LSU versus Clemson win. Now that we look back at it, not that impressive. Iowa fell out of the rankings.
Yes, they did.
They fell out last week. And as good as that game was to watch, I have trouble with it. And then look at, they got the 2 West Coast schools. They got USC this week, which is an opportunity for them to kind of solidify that ranking, in my opinion. Or if they lose, then all of a sudden I'm kind of like, okay, well, kind of justified. And then they have Washington, who has severely fallen on hard times. And then it's the same thing. Notre Dame has the Pittsburgh win. I'll give them that. They have the win over USC, and that win over USC is carrying a lot of weight right now. Which hurts me to say, because I want Notre Dame to be successful, so A&M's win looks better.
Right.
But those 2 right there, those are the 2 in the top 10 that I'm kind of like, I don't know. BYU, you've beaten Utah. You've beaten a few teams. I look at Michigan. Their losses are to USC and Oklahoma. Bama, even though you lost to Oklahoma and the Florida State loss looks worse and worse every week, you still did beat 4 ranked teams in a row.
You did.
That's hard to do. So, those 2 are the kind of 2 that stick out to me. I would have Tech out of the tie with Oregon, possibly ahead of Ole Miss. I would have Oklahoma behind Ole Miss. So I would put Tech at 5, Ole Miss at 6, Oklahoma 7, Notre Dame 8, Oregon 9, Bama 10.
Okay,
that's where I think I would kind of shuffle those around.
Looking through the rest of it, BYU creeps up 1 to 11. Vandy's at 12. Utah moves up to 13. Miami trying to cling to hope at number 14. I mean, if they're in good shape if they win the ACC.
Here's the problem: is they can't.
Oh, you're right.
They can't win the ACC. Now they're at 15. They could possibly get an at-large bid if they win. If they're 10-2 and their losses are to SMU on the road, and then a good Louisville team. But Louisville again lost, so they've fallen out of the rankings.
Yep. So has a lot of other ACC teams.
Yes.
Georgia Tech's at 15. USC is at 16. Texas free falls to 17. Michigan stays put at 18. Virginia at 19. Tennessee at 20. And then the rest, JMU is up 3 to 21. And then 4 newcomers to the rankings, 2 of which are Group of 5 teams. 22 North Texas, 23 Missouri, Tulane 24, and U of H at 25. Louisville, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, South Florida all fell out. Louisville and Pittsburgh both being teams out of the ACC.
Well, and Navy is number 1 in receiving votes at 61 points. So there's a bit of a gap between Houston and Navy, but it just shows you the top of that AC. We talked about the Group 5 all the past couple weeks. It is just going crazy. Now, James Madison is the Group of 5 team it's looking like. And, right on the Dukes, their only loss is to a Louisville team that's spent a good chunk of the season in the top 25. But, yeah, it's crazy. Texas looked like the bad Texas team we saw in the middle of the season and not the team in the Arch Manning we've had the past 2 games. That game against Vanderbilt, Arch Manning looked like what we were told he was going to be.
Right.
Now, I think a lot of flaws were exposed with Texas. I don't think Texas physically dominates the line of scrimmage like they did last year, which they lost 4 guys to the NFL on the offensive line. They lost 3 guys on the NFL on the defensive line. When you have offensive NFL linemen, you're going to be pretty good. And so I thought Kirby twisted the knife a little bit. I don't know what his beef with the University of Texas is. I don't know if that dates back to the Sugar Bowl in 2019, or was that 2020 Sugar Bowl? When Georgia had all those teams opt out, or all those players opt out, and Texas ended up winning.
Yeah.
So, he likes to run it down Texas's throat, and likes to blow them out. So that was a little bit concerning for me on that front. Tennessee continues to hang around the bottom of the rankings, but that Group of 5, man, we're not gonna know until the very last day. I think Selection Sunday is the only day we're gonna be able to accurately say who the Group of 5 champion is, because it seems like anybody can beat anybody in those leagues.
Yep.
Which is good. It makes for an entertaining time. But like a month ago, we were saying Memphis was going to be the Group of 5 champion, and now they've lost to UAB and ECU.
Out of the picture.
We thought USF was going to be the champion last week. Out of the picture.
Out of the picture.
So we've been. I don't mean to toot our own horn. We've been high on North Texas, and maybe that's some mean green bias because we know Coach Cassidy, and he was great here at Sam Houston, but
he's got him playing good football.
But what happens if Eric Morris takes the Arkansas job right before the conference championship? So, this is the best North Texas team we've had. First time since 1959 that they were in the rankings. Mean Joe Green.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And I like how North Texas, I like the way they're going to finish. They're at Rice, not a huge travel, just down 45 into Houston, and then you get to host Temple at the end of the season. So a little
Coach Cassidy versus Casey Keeler.
That's right, a little Coach Cassidy versus his old boss. So it's going to make for an interesting run to the finish in the Group of 5 thing. I'm still high on James Madison getting the bid, but North Texas could creep in there as well to handle their business. So
when I look at the college football predictions, let's see if I can. Where is this? Is it? There was a. Oh, here we go. All-State playoff predictor. That's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tulane 18%, North Texas 38%, JMU 52%. Right now, they have Indiana, Ohio State, and A&M all at a greater than 99% chance.
Oh, without a
make the
doubt.
playoffs.
Without a doubt, unless they
have
just
Georgia at
collapse.
99%. They have Tech at 91. They have Ole Miss at 89. They have Oregon at 87. They have Alabama at 84. Those are the only teams above 80. After that, Notre Dame 61, JMU at 52, as we said, Oklahoma at 49, Utah at 39. So, I don't want to look ahead too much. But in a couple weeks, we're going to have the Iron Bowl. Alabama is going to have to win the Iron Bowl to make the playoffs.
Yes.
Against an Auburn team in Jordan-Hare. That's going to be, really has nothing to lose. I mean, you're going to make a bowl.
You already fired Freeze.
That's already written itself.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen Alabama Alabama go in needing to win in Jordan-Hare
and don't.
And they don't get it because some weird thing. There is some hex on Jordan-Hare Stadium that teams that need to win go in there, and Auburn just like, no, well, you know what? There's our bird. Watch it fly, and here we go, War Eagle, and walk out winners.
I'm taking right back to the kick six and the prayer at Jordan-Hare for Georgia and Auburn. So strange things have happened in that stadium, and it could be the case again.
Yes, and so we'll talk about it next week.
Oh yes,
and we'll preview rivalry week for college football. But it is going to be a lot of fun. As I'm pulling up the schedule here.
Yeah, so
just take a peek at what games you have your eye on, or
here's what I'm intrigued about. USC and Oregon is going to be a huge one. That's 2:30 on CBS this Saturday at Autzen Stadium. A big one that Oregon needs to get to preserve their playoff hopes. If USC goes in there and beats them, USC's back into the picture of trying to backdoor their way into the CFP. What else am I looking at here? Pitt and Georgia Tech will be interesting, 6 o'clock on ESPN, because simply Georgia Tech needs to keep rolling, and then they have to have the rivalry game against Georgia the week after, which I believe is, I don't know if that's in Atlanta or not, but either way.
It is in Atlanta this year.
That's right, it is in Atlanta. So that's a huge one if I'm a Ramblin' Wreck fan. On that front. And then maybe, I guess, my sleeper of potential upset that could brew. I'm looking through, and I really don't see one other than maybe Arkansas goes into DKR and rattles Texas's cage a little bit.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this schedule and this slate, I think Missouri at Oklahoma is going to be good. An old Big 8, now then Big 12, now SEC rivalry. Missouri should be ranked inside the top 25 come Selection Sunday or Selection Tuesday. I'm looking at, what was it? We already touched on USC versus Oregon.
Yep.
Kentucky versus Vanderbilt, I think, has some potential. Does Vanderbilt overlook a Kentucky team that has started to look really, really good the past couple weeks? Duke at North Carolina, that's a big one. Chapel Bill has already lost to NC State. They've already lost to Wake. And Duke, did they lose? Okay, so they lost. So they're out of the conference championship picture. That's right. They lost to Virginia. But the Blue Devils, if I look at who they still have left, have North Carolina and Wake Forest. So, they're trying to get the bowl eligible. How does this Bill Belichick experiment conclude? Going down, I think Michigan at Maryland is interesting. Maryland fighting Coach Loxley up there, fighting to keep his job
Just needs 2 wins for a bowl.
Needs 2 wins for a bowl. Michigan struggled with Northwestern this past week.
Yes,
Needed a
they
walk-off
did.
field goal. Pitt at Georgia Tech. It's at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. Georgia Tech clinging on to some playoff hopes.
Former Aggie leading the way.
Haynes King, man, deserves better than one. If they hadn't lost some games they should have won, he'd be a Heisman candidate. He's been fantastic this year. Tennessee at Florida. Florida's been showing some fight. You know,
They have.
And I don't know if they fired their last bullets last night against Lane Kiffin. This has to me, Tennessee's either going to blow out Florida or Florida's going to pull the upset. There's not going to be an in between. And then finally, I look all the way down. Where was it? There it is. That's right. My upset of the week. I said, you said maybe Texas, Arkansas. I think Arkansas not only has a chance to cover the 10.5 point spread, I really think they have a chance to win the entire game. They looked really good against LSU for a half. Then things kind of fell apart. But I'm telling you, the Razorbacks are talented on offense. And this isn't just me hating on Texas. Because I want Texas to be good to bolster A&M's resume. I want them to be good. Arkansas, okay, here's their losses this season. Okay? They're 2-8 now. Lost by 6 to Ole Miss. At Ole Miss. Lost by 1 to Memphis at Memphis. Got the doors blown off of them by Notre Dame. That's whenever Sam Pittman got let go.
Mm-hmm.
Lose by 3 to Tennessee in Neyland. Lose by 3 to A&M. Lose by 9 to Auburn in a game they were winning that they probably should have won. Lose by 3 to Mississippi State. Lose by 1 to LSU.
They've been in
They have
games.
been in every single game they've played in. If I saw a stat, it was like if you take Arkansas's record and one-score games and you just changed every win-loss, right, in the past 5 years, they would have won 48 games. I'm telling you, they're in all these games. One of these teams, either Arkansas is going to be either Texas or Missouri. They are going to beat them. I will declare that right now. One of those two games they're going to win because Texas is either going to overlook them at 2-8, looking ahead to A&M, or Missouri's going to look at them at 2-9, and who's Missouri coming off of that next week? The Oklahoma game. So they'll be 7-4 or 8-3. And they'll kind of just be looking at, okay, get ready for a bowl game. And they're going to overlook Arkansas and lose. I'm telling you, Arkansas is going to win one of these two games. So that's that's my upset for the week. I'm locking it in. If they don't, then next week what my upset of the week is going to be.
Exactly.
Also, TCU versus Houston is going to be a fun one.
Yes.
TCU just lost to BYU. They're
Brutal and a bad
7-4.
loss.
They're 6-4. Right. This is a team that was 6-2, lost to Iowa State by 3, and then just got blown out. Houston back in the rankings. They're 8-2. I think that's going to be a very good game down in Houston on Saturday.
It will be. So that's our college football talk, and now we have an opportunity to dive into the weekend of high school football. We're going to start with Navasota and how they did last Thursday night, taking down North Forest to advance onto the area.
Man. Well, they were fantastic. It was a crap show for me, but that's fine. I got everything sorted out for this week. It was a short week. We played on a Saturday. Then we played on a Thursday, and I was just dying. It was bad.
Yeah.
But we got everything sorted out, and then the Rattlers just took care of business. They have been fantastic all season. There was no break. Junior Jace Jablonski, had 6 total touchdowns, threw 5 touchdown passes to 5 different receivers. Everybody got involved. 7 Rattlers scored, and that now they face a tough test against a Bridge City team who even though they won their district, were the underdogs to a 4th place team from Northeast Texas and Tyler Chapel Hill. And they beat them 24-21. So now we're going down to Stallsworth Stadium in Baytown. So I get to make that drive on Friday night.
Have fun with that.
Yeah. Be about as long as the drive that me and you were making. But yeah, man, it was just overall it was a good week for the Rattlers, and they had a chance to to kind of sleepwalk into that game against a very talented Houston North Forest team, and they didn't. So I'm very, very pleased with that.
And then, of course, on our side, and John, you can weigh on this too because you were there as well, Huntsville taking care of their business in round number 1, taking down the Marshall Mavericks up in Marshall, 3-hour drive, a Marshall team that was coming in hot with an 8-2 season, and their 2 losses being close against state title favorite teams in Texas High and Longview. And Huntsville, I think BA Brian Adams said it best. They punched Marshall in the mouth quick and early, and Marshall had no chance to respond.
Yeah, I mean, Zay Adolph is the real deal, a quarterback for y'all. He could sling it. He was able to he really took care of it with his legs on Friday night. Had that 58-yard touchdown run to open up the game, and then from there just made plays all night when his number was called. Had the 58-yard touchdown.
I'm not trying to cut you off here.
1, he's down.
I'm not trying to cut you off. So what we're looking at here, we'll talk back in high school ball for a second, but we're about to have an attempt at a walk-off field goal. This is Rams and Seahawks. Jason Myers coming on for a 61-yard try. He's on my fantasy team, so I would love it here if he nails this one.
Hold on, I got to see if I'm playing against him or not. See which side of this I'm coming down
1
on.
second, Rams 21, Seahawks 19. Sean McVay just called his final timeout. Rams rocking the black jerseys tonight. As they pan away from that ball game for a second until they get the timeout. Now we're just watching garbage time between the Niners and the Chiefs. Is that Brissett that threw that? I would love that.
It was.
That would be great. Thank you.
Well, Elijah DeMarcardo got hurt early in the game.
Of course he did.
So, but yeah, no, while we're waiting on that. But yeah, I mean, going back to Zay Adolph, he was fantastic.
Yes, he was.
He's a guy that has a bright future ahead of him playing the game of football. Y'all have so many Treys on that team. Trey Brown,
yeah, we do.
Trey Scott,
Trey Williams, left
Williams.
tackle.
I mean, just insane.
Trey Joyner, who's the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
You got them all.
It's just wild.
Got them all. All right, here we go. 61-yard field goal. Jason Myers, no timeouts left. This is to win the ball game, and he hooked it wide to the right.
And we just got your reaction on that.
Yeah. Rams win. They're 8-2 and have sole possession of first in the NFC West.
And it's crazy. Rams quarterbacked by Matt Stafford, who beat the Marshall Mavericks and your old head coach Rodney Southern. Yeah.
Back in 04,
2004, 2005. Highland Park beat Marshall
for the state championship.
59-0. It was the biggest state championship shutout margin in the history of Texas high school football. So maybe next time you see Rodney, ask him what he thinks about Matt Stafford. Because I found out Matt Stafford wasn't even the best player on the field that day. A guy named Chris Holt or Height hit. I don't know. HELDT. Helt. Had 5 rushing touchdowns. Got sat down at halftime as
that's a touchdown.
Mark Andrews. Okay. But yeah. So, overall, great week.
It was a great weekend for Huntsville.
Great weekend for Huntsville. Great weekend for us. We get to keep doing what we do.
Yep, we do. And I'll just say this. I know the game between Huntsville and Marshall didn't end in the best of ways. I know it wasn't pretty, but I admire how Huntsville handled themselves at the end of that ball game. And that just is a testament to the coaching staff and the administration at Huntsville High. of what they're leading these young men and how they're leading them, and that's all I'll say on that. And now they're moving on, taking on the Terrell Tigers at McLean Stadium in Waco on Friday night. Excited for those guys as they get get ready for a big matchup in Bear Country. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Sad I don't get to call that.
It's a great high school stadium, or great venue for high school football. I got to be a part of a regional final there at College Station versus Denton Ryan a few years ago. But yeah, it's gonna be fun for the Huntsville guys to lace them up, play where a lot of guys at the next level play, and get to experience that. That's one of the cool things about the high school playoffs, is a lot of these schools have great relationships with the Texas Football Coaches Association.
Yep.
And are very supportive of that. And so, hey, we don't have Baylor's like, hey, we don't have a game on Saturday here, so y'all come down to McLean, use the stadium, experience that, getting to run out behind the lights. So very excited for them, getting to go up to Baylor, and not too far of a drive.
Not too bad at all.
So
it'll be good for my guys, whoever I have call the game. I think I have Colin Neal locked in on one spot, waiting to get him either an analyst and we'll get that all figured out. I do want to say this about 5A Division II and the playoff bracket. I'm going to do a quick count here real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 third-place teams won their game, and 1 fourth-place team won their game, that being Pflugerville, beating Sam Houston out of San Antonio. So a lot of I wouldn't call them necessarily upsets, because those 2-3 matchups are always kind of a coin flip at the end of the day. If you're a third-place team, you just had a really good district in front of you, or any of that. But I'm impressed with all the upsets that happened, especially on Huntsville's end of the bracket. Mount Pleasant beat Montgomery 48-38. Mount Pleasant hadn't won a playoff game in 27 years. As long as I've been alive, they hadn't won a playoff game until last Friday night.
yeah, but that's what we're talking about.
That's high school football.
The unpredictability of Texas high school football cannot be overstated. I mean, Mount Pleasant wins first time in 27 years. You got teams that College Station has only not advanced out of our by-district round one time. That was the first year in the history of the school. There's just it's craziness like that. I don't know the last time Aledo didn't make it past the first round.
It's been a while.
They probably have won their first round playoff game every year since Mount Pleasant last won a playoff game.
I can see that.
So, overall, a great first round. Got some very interesting matchups. I'm very excited for those throughout the state at all levels. I think something that'll be fun is maybe go through and look at if you have a matchup you're excited to see.
Just at any level.
Well, just if you want to do all levels, give 12 games, kind of keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could do that. Or if you just want to, each split it up, each level. You take one division, I take the other division.
We could do that.
So.
I can start with 6AD1.
Okay.
One matchup that I'm intrigued about probably would have to be.
I know what you're going to say, by the way.
I have my pick.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think I'm picking?
You're going to say Fort Benning Ridge Point versus Easton North Shore.
No, I am not.
Really?
I'm saying on that end of the region, I'm saying Pearland Dickinson at the bottom of that bracket. Pearland rolled by Fort Bend Travis. And here's a fun little snippet for you. A good buddy of ours, or of mine, Colton Foster at the Huntsville Item, sports editor there. They played Fort Bend Travis. Colton is a Pearland alum.
Mm-hmm.
One of our best friends from college, Scott Morris, he's a Fort Bend Travis alum. So that was interesting watching those two, their two high schools go back and forth with each other. And then I think Colton said something in our group chat and said, I don't remember what he said, but he was just talking mess at Scott. But
that's how it always is. Like, it runs deep. It's people don't understand how deep it runs. Your pride in your high school, in Texas.
I mean, my high school, small little private school in West Houston, Texas Christian, was playing in the state championship over the weekend at the TCAL level. They did not win, but still to get there is one thing. But I like what Pearland's doing. They're undefeated, and they're going to go up against the Dickinson team. That's also undefeated, so something's going to have to give.
Yep.
Pearland had a decisive win over Fort Bend Travis, 59-27. Dickinson and Atascocita had a dogfight, 51-47. So I think that's going to be the making of a really good matchup to see who gets to the regional semifinal. They get the winner of Houston-Lamar Strake Jesuit. And I really like Pearland in that ball game to be able to get into round number 3.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's Fort Bend Ridge Point versus North Shore. Those are two schools that are the favorites in that region, and now they're playing in the area round because that's just how it goes. All right, at the Division II level, for me, I'm actually going up to Region 2. Longview versus DeSoto. Longview coming off a win against Coach Southern in Coppers Cove, 63-6.
That was
Or
DeSoto.
DeSoto, yes. And then Longview beat Rowlett 63-7. Forney placed higher than Longview in the regional standings. So Longview is actually the 2 seed at the Division II level out of our District 10.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those where you just look at the schedule and you're like, if you're Coach Mathis at DeSoto, you're like, I have to play DeSoto or I have to play Longview in round 2. And if you're Coach King at Longview saying, I have to go up against flipping DeSoto in round 2. These are two teams that are both state championship caliber level teams. And so the fact that they're meeting, let me see if we can actually see where that game is. They should have it available.
It should be.
I'm looking at the times and locations right now for 6A Division 2. If you want, while I'm doing that, if you want to quickly scan that.
Like, give you my pick?
Yeah.
For a game? I was looking at it real quick. I'm going with 2 district winners. Once again, meeting up in the area round, which, actually, you know what? I'm not going to go with that one. I was going to go Region 4, but instead I will go over to Region 3 once again, and that being Manville and Summer Creek. It's going to be my pick for a really good one. It's at Turner Stadium in Humble, so really a home game for Summer Creek.
Yes.
Winner of that gets either Memorial or Katy, who play at Tully Stadium this week. So the Bulldogs clear-cut winner over Clear Springs, and then Manville handled their business against Fort Bend Hightower, who I had as a dark horse coming out of Region 3, and, well, that went away pretty quick. So, excuse me, Manville, for underestimating y'all. But I think that's going to be a superb ball game.
Yep.
Coming up.
Longview versus DeSoto is at Waco ISD. So, if you don't have anything to do Friday night, if you're not going to McLean Stadium, maybe if you are, and the Hornets are blowing out Terrell. Go over, and you're like, okay, well, I've seen enough of this, and you're still in the area. Pop over to Waco ISD. You're going to see some
good football.
Some dudes. But going down to 5A Division 1, when I am looking here.
If you say what I know what you're going to say.
Really?
Yes, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Do you?
Yes. Just because I feel like I know you well enough.
Okay, well, we'll see. All right.
Then again.
No, because I see the one that caught my eye. Going Region 1.
Okay.
Going Aledo versus Amarillo-Tecose. Amarillo-Tecose and Aledo are two of the powerhouses in that region. It always seems like it was getting down to them. Tecose beat El Paso Parkland
Yep.
84-13. Aledo beat Saginaw 80-12. They're playing at Big Spring Memorial Stadium. So, if I look at, let me look and see if I can pull up Tecose. I typed in Amarillo tacos. I don't think
that's not gonna. You need Tascosa. While you're doing that, I'll pick mine out of 581. Real quick before I do that, I looked at the top of the Region 1. El Dorado beat Amarillo 77-76.
Mm-hmm.
And
an Amarillo team that got in on a coin flip.
Yes,
because they had to forfeit all their games.
Yes, yeah, at a gas station.
At a gas station, undisclosed location of the gas station. We cannot tell you where this is.
No, we cannot. If you want me to pick one, I really like Pflugerville Weiss and Lufkin.
Dark horse staying alive.
It's at Wood Forest Bank Stadium in the Woodlands. Really a true halfway point. They did that one really well. Yeah, Weiss beat LaPorte, stunned LaPorte. A lot of pundits in the high school media ranks had LaPorte getting to the Final Four. And then, like we talked about, Weiss is getting hot at the right time. Lufkin comes off of a big win over Westbury, who Westbury had gone 9-1 entering into the postseason. So it's two teams that are fighting hard to get to round 3. On the other side waits Austin Anderson or Barbers Hill.
I told you. I told you, man.
I know.
I said, look, all 4 of those teams in that district, in District 12, the 5A D1 level, are still dancing.
Yes.
All right. All College Station did in their last 2 games is beat 2 top 10 teams in the state of Texas, in Pflugerville, Weiss, and Angleton. And all Weiss has done is beat 2 top 10 teams in LaPorte and Austin Anderson. So,
and a potential rematch in round 3.
And now they have potential rematch in round 3 versus Anderson, who, if they can get by Barbers Hill, which they haven't shown me a reason why they can't, you know.
I mean, Friendswood gave them a fight.
Yeah. Well, you know how A&M Consolidated beat Crosby 27-26, right?
Yeah, it was brutal.
Well, yeah. I forgot. You were on the phone call that I got about it.
Yeah.
That they kicked the extra point, roughing the kicker. Okay, we're gonna move the ball up instead of on the kickoff inside the 1 yard line, and then I'm gonna go for 2 for the win and get stuffed. But Carlos, I mean, there's a real possibility that all 4 Region 12 teams advance to the regional semifinal. Our District 12 teams advance to the regional semifinals.
Yep.
I don't know the last time I've ever seen that happen. I mean, honestly, the only time that I can think of it is because last year in 4A D1, Longview Pine Tree got upset by Stafford on the last second.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't know the last time I've seen every single one advance. The only one that I think is still alive is because Brewster lost to Arlington Heights 36-23.
I mean, look at this. Like, 10 and 11 are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Eliminated. All of District 9 won, and all of District 12.
Yes.
Nuts.
So, I understand that's the inner city Houston teams. And then 10 is...
Now, 10's the inner city Houston team, so
and
11
then
is...
11 is kind of that Gulf Coast...
By the Bay schools.
By the Bay. And so, yeah, man. I mean, District 12, I think, is the best district in the state at that division, top to bottom. That's why I said, Pflugerville Weiss is a...
They're intriguing.
They were a team that was very intriguing at the end of the year. They got upset by a good College Station team, and then they went and blew the doors off of Austin Anderson. And then they go and they beat LaPorte, by 7. but they came back and beat LaPorte. So, yeah.
But that's
Weiss versus Lufkin's going to be a fun one.
Weiss versus Lufkin's going to be awesome. All right, over to 5AD2. Obviously, my bias will show here. I'm going to have my eye on Terrell and Huntsville. But if I were to pick one away from that, would be, man, this is a gauntlet. Do you have an idea on yours while I think?
Man, Amarillo Palo Duro has been really good this year. And they're taking on an Anna team that has struggled a little bit since moving up to 5A, but is still really, really talented.
Yep.
I think that's one. And then, Montgomery was a team that we talked about possibly giving South Oak Cliff a little bit of trouble. And all Mount Pleasant does is go down to Montgomery and beat them. And it reminds me a lot of what, Coach Mabus said at the end of the half or at the post game to his team. They get tougher, but we're going to get better. How inspiring is it to say, you're the first group of guys in 27 years to play this late into the season. I'm intrigued by Mount Pleasant. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued now. South Oak Cliff might just go and mollywomp be 70-0, and I'm going to look like an idiot. But, yeah, I would have to say probably Anna versus Amarillo Palo Duro, and then Mount Pleasant versus Sauk.
Now that I've had a chance to think about it, P&G and Ennis has become a lot more interesting. Connor Bailey, the quarterback for P&G, left the game in the second quarter.
Yep.
Against Nacogdoches and did not return. I don't know what his status is for round 2. If he doesn't go, and I'm not saying, because having watched P&G this year, that the offense is all solely reliant on Connor Bailey.
Yeah.
It's not. They have a lot of great pieces. But Bailey is the heart and soul of that team. He has been for 3 years now. Helped them get to a state championship in 23 and win it. And now in his senior season, he goes down with a injury. First off, I hate to see that happen to him. I've heard nothing about him. That he's an awesome kid, and but if you look at this solely through a football lens, Ennis is licking their chops right now, seeing if they can take out one of the favorites.
Yeah,
and so I'm intrigued about that ball game. Winner of that gets either Texas High or Midlothian Heritage. Yeah. So that's the one I think sticks out to me the most. I was thinking about Liberty Hill and Brenham, but that'll also be another good one.
Yeah, I think Brenham is an interesting team. They lose, Jacoby Dixon to transfer at the very beginning of the year. Kind of shocks the whole state. It's one of those that reverberates, that everybody's kind of whispering to each other in the media and coaches. Did you hear about this? And they've done is just kind of respond and put together a pretty good season whenever you're thinking your 5-star running back's going to be the center of your offense. And then he's just not at your school anymore. So I think that's going to be a good one. But going down to 4A Division II, man, I'm going to have to give some – we have not given enough love to Region 4. I was intrigued by Springtown versus Panther Creek. But when I look at Austin LBJ versus Bay City. Bay City, if you haven't heard, some of the worst officiating ever cost them the 2 seed and sent them on the road to Toloso Midway. And all they do there is win 42-24. And now instead of getting to play San Antonio Davenport in the second round, they get to play Austin LBJ. A little bit of a difference there.
Just a little bit.
Davenport is still a very good team. But Austin LBJ is Austin LBJ. So, I think Austin LBJ is kind of looking at, we thought we were going to be playing a different team. And this is also a Bay City team that's from the same district as a Lavernia team who's a favorite to advance out of the region that upset Austin LBJ in the area round last year and set their course for this season. So, Not that I think Austin LBJ will look ahead to a rematch in a couple rounds against Livonia, who also still has to go through a good Corpus Christi Cal Allen team.
Mm-hmm.
But Bay City versus Austin LBJ, I think, is a very intriguing matchup, especially because I want to see where that game is being played because they are.
Brenham.
Yeah, I was going to say those two schools are far apart. So they're going to go play at the Bluebell Stadium, home of the Cam Newton and the Blinn Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my pick is down there.
No, it's going to be at Cub Stadium.
Yeah, well, I call it the Bluebell Stadium.
Okay.
Because Blinn shares that with Brenham High.
Do they really?
Yes.
Hmm.
So we always, when we played middle school, that's also where the middle school plays.
Gotcha.
So we would love going down there to play because we would walk up and we'd see the banner of Cam Newton and everything that they have there because, why not? He was the best player you ever gotten. So, but yeah, that's my pick is I like Bay City versus LBJ is my game to watch.
My game to watch comes from Region 3, that being Alameda Crawford and Lindale. Meeting up in round 2, winner gets either Yates or Longview Pine Tree. And I know you know Alameda Crawford very well.
And I know Lindale.
And you know Lindale. So the game's going to be in Nacogdoches, which you feel like might be a little bit more of a home game for Lindale, with it being in Nac. That's a bit of a drive from Rocheron.
Yep.
So I really think that has the potential to be really the big game of the area round. And if whoever wins out of that, if the cards play right for you, you may find yourself dancing onto a regional final.
Yeah, I had Crawford as my dark horse in this region. I had Kilgore as the winner. I think a good Houston Yates team that really has blown the doors off of everybody they've played. Let Needville hang around for a little bit and then kind of just ran away with it in the second half. We'll see how they do against Longview Pine Tree this week. But yeah, this is my region. I can tell you, Stafford has a guy named Aiden Seals who is going to be electric. But if you can shut him down, you're feeling pretty good as Kilgore to advance. Navasota versus Bridge City is going to be in Baytown this week, as I mentioned. That's a district champion that you're having to play, who upset a Chapel Hill team that was very talented that made the state quarterfinals last year, and brought back 10 returning starters on defense. But yeah, Lindale, man, they're a well-coached ball team. They do a lot of different things in the run game. But Crawford, when I watch Crawford, there's not going to be anybody as good as Alvin Mosley on the field for Lindale.
Got some dudes.
And Benji Fisher, a junior quarterback down there, he's a dude that can spin the rock. So that's going to be a very fun and exciting game for sure. I think the winner of that game, they'll have a tough test on their hand. Pine Tree, with the physicality of East Texas, Yates with the athletes of Houston ISD, is going to be a challenge. But it's a good pick right there.
For a D2, I was wrestling with this one as I was scrolling through while you were talking. I've been living on the right side of the bracket, and I want to look at something on the left side. And no, I got to stay probably in Region 3. And this is just the matchup that intrigues me the most. That's China Spring, who upset my pick to come out of Region 3, Belleville.
Yep.
28-21. They get Lamarck at Magnolia West.
Yep.
Who Lamarck nail-biter with Hampshire Finette. And winner of that gets Waco La Vega or Silsby. So good luck after that if it's La Vega on the other side, because La Vega is very good. China Spring is always just that sneaky team ever since they won. Was it a few years ago they won the state title?
That was 2021. They won the 4A D1 state title, and then they dropped down.
Yeah.
So, they were 4A D2, and then they were 3A.
That's right, they were 3A.
They were 3A, and they moved up. And they had a really good quarterback who went to North Texas. Mm-hmm. Cannot remember his name.
Is he the one that's there right now?
No.
Someone's in the building.
Yep, somebody just showed up.
Is it Justin? Yeah. It is Justin.
Oh, producer
Hello.
extraordinaire. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
He's recording the news.
Producer Justin, unexpected appearance on the pod. But yeah, so China Spring, no, it's not the guy that's there now.
Not Mestamaker.
Not Mestamaker. He was at Austin Vandergriff. But yeah, man. Yeah, that's going to be a good one, man. Mark is fantastic. Waco La Vega getting the winner of that game. That China Spring versus Waco La Vega would be one for the Waco area.
That is one that will feed families.
In the Waco ISD area, yes. But for me, man, I look at. Do you know what the mascot for Robstown is?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Robstown Cotton Pickers, man.
Yeah.
And they beat Port Isabel, who is in a 4-team district.
Right.
And
And
they're a terrible district. But
and
they still went and won. And now they play Wimberley.
Who blanked Carrizo Springs.
Yeah. But that wasn't a good game either. Like, oh, did Denver just win?
Yep. Let's walk it off. I needed that as a Texans fan because the Chiefs are 5-5. Anyway, moving on.
But man, I just want Robstown to win, dude. They've been so bad for so long. Like, I love Robstown, man. They're from down. My dad's from Alice, so they're from down there, and they always pop up on the strangest nicknames in America, mascots in America, the Robstown Cotton Pickers. And I'm just, man, I just want to see them be successful. That's one of those ones where you're sitting there, and this is a team that went 2-7 last year. They were 3-8 the year before. They haven't won more than 3 games in the past 7 years. Okay.
And then they go 7-4 this year.
And they went 7-4 this year. They beat up on all the San Antonio schools and some of the Corpus Christi schools, and they beat Ingleside to make it in. Right?
That's all they needed.
That's all they need to do. And I just want to ride with the Cotton Pickers, man. I just want to ride with Robstown. They're probably going to lose, but gosh darn it, if there's ever a team that can beat the Wimberley Texans, it's Robstown Cotton Pickers. So, gosh, this might get us demonetized.
Hey, look, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Look, it's their mascot.
It's their mascot's
name,
mascot. Man. But yeah, this to me, this is no knock on this level of D2. I think that you picked the only really good game. The interesting matchups happen next week.
Yeah. All right, move on. 3AD1, and I'm going with. I've been living in Region 3s, man.
I know you have, dude.
I'm trying to find.
Like I'm not even
trying to
looking
find
at
something else.
I'm not even looking at Region 3 anymore because I know you're going to take it.
Do you want me to go to a different region?
Well, dude, because here's the deal. Okay, I'm going to start, and then you can go somewhere because you took mine last Division 2.
Okay, go for it.
Columbus versus Palestine Westwood.
Okay.
Palestine Westwood has the number 1 quarterback in the country in the class of 2027. He's a Texas Tech commit. The dude is electric. It's Contavious Bryant, I think is his name. Let me just make sure I'm not butchering that because, I mean, producer Justin's going to learn all about him. Yeah, it is Kavian Bryant. All right. Last year, they averaged 58.3 points a game, and he had almost 2,800 passing yards, 37 touchdowns passing, 870 rushing yards, 14 rushing touchdowns. All right, I'm going to see if so this guy is just electric with the football, and, I mean, he's taken on a team that won the state championship last year. And even though they had to take out so many people or bring so many people in onto that team that, I just can't help but sit there and wonder, what's going to happen here. As let's see here, if I can get to Kavian Bryant's max preps. I don't know how accurate these stats are, because this is basketball stats. So here we go, football stats this season. So he hasn't. They say he hasn't played since the Freeman game. So I don't know if he's hurt or what, which might affect my pick. But if he's playing, let me see. Then that's my pick, and I'm gonna look at that while you give yours.
All right, here's my pick. You're going to enjoy this.
Okay.
It's not Region 3. It's Region 2. And this stems from a conversation we had Friday night on the way back from Marshall. I'm going the Grandview Zebras against the legendary Gladewater Bears. You know why I'm going with that, right?
Drove through Gladewater.
No, I'm not even.
Oh, no, that's right. No, we didn't drive through Gladewater. Man, shout out, what's it, Pigskin Bob?
Yes.
Shout out Pigskin Bob and KYK, or
Kicks. It's Kicks up in Longview.
yeah, KYXK.
KYKX.
KYKX. And the Friday Night Call-In show, and the Gladewater Bears were the talk of the show. That young man had so much fun talking about his Gladewater Bears. What's their head coach's name?
Oh, I don't. Hold on.
I don't remember, but I just remember your head coach. They were like, "Who's your head coach?" And he said, "So and so."
Jermaine Lewis.
Jermaine Lewis, the greatest man ever. Let me tell you about our safety. Had a pick six. Play him at wide receiver, corner, quarterback,
Everywhere.
assistant coach, head coach, and so
That kid was awesome.
yep. So all right, so Kavian Bryant is playing, so I'm going to keep it there. He passed 3,000 yards. Broke the Palestine Westwood single season yardage. They won 49-42 over East Chambers. So that's my pick in 3A Division I, Palestine Westwood versus Columbus, the defending state champion. The winner of that gets the winner of Franklin versus Orangefield. Have fun with Franklin. I'm not jealous of you
At all.
But
If you wanted to know my pick in Region 3, it's the Bulldog Bowl, Crockett and Hitchcock. On the other
you
end
mean
of that.
Hardin.
No.
Hardin won, 36-14.
Then they messed it up on Max Preps.
Yeah, I was going to say, Max Preps does not have the – well, Max Preps just told me that Kavian Bryant hadn't played in 3 months, and I just found out he set the single-season passing record because he has been playing.
Maybe we should just not rely on this.
That's a great thought, brother.
All right, 3A Division 2. I'm not going to Region 3 this time just to save you, even though there are some intriguing matchups on that side.
There really are.
I'll go down to – where am I going to go to? I'm going to go down to my dark horse pick in Region 4. George West taking on Lexington.
Gosh dang.
Were you going for that one?
Yes. You're taking my Brazos Valley schools.
Oh, man. I mean, I there's a reason I went with them as my dark horse. They handled Karn City like nobody's business, so they stay undefeated. And then Lexington, they had a drag-out dogfight with Wallace Brazos. And Lexington, they're 9-1-1. They had a tie with someone? They tied with Caldwell.
So that was a no contest. A Lexington player had to be life flighted off the field. He's okay.
Okay.
He's made a full recovery from what I've heard. The last I heard was he was expected to make a full recovery, and everything was fine. There were no complications, but he took a hard hit, and they had to life flight him over to Austin, and so they just contest the game because it was such a close game. I think if it was not tied, I think it was like 35-28, and Caldwell had the ball in the red zone. And there were like 2 minutes left, so they had no idea who was going to win that game. And both teams kind of just agreed, hey, we're not going to come back and resume it. We're just gonna no contest the game.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Good thing that kid's all right. But yeah, that'll be my pick, George West in Lexington out of 3A Division II. Winner of that would get either Poth or East Bernard. I was gonna say, you can look at 3. There's a lot of great matchups.
No. Here's where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go down to Region 2.
Okay.
Callisburg versus Henrietta. And the reason why I say that, Callisburg finished in 4th in District 7, and Henrietta finished 3rd in District 6. And they both beat the doors off of Cedar Hill, TLC, and Clifton in their respective matchups. So that always intrigues me when I see that kind of score there. I don't know anything about them, but that's Gunter versus Wichita Falls City View is also a contender. But yeah, I'm going to go Callisburg versus Henrietta.
Okay. I flipped over to 2A real quick, just because I know we didn't technically make predictions on 2A. Our eye was just going to be on Wheeler and see how they did for producer Justin's sake. And I don't know why I cannot find Wheeler.
Are they Division 2?
They might be in Division 2. I thought they were Region 1 because that's Panhandle. Oh, good Lord. Oh, there they are. Yep, no, they're Region 2. Beat Electra 35-8, and they will face Collinsville in the area round. If you look regionally here in Southeast Texas, some teams that are still playing in 2A Division 2, Lovelady is moving on. They face they got to face Mart in the area round. That's always a tough one.
Grapeland also moves on, and they have to face Bremond.
Yeah. Iola beat Sabinal, so Iola's moving on.
They're
going to Livia in Port Lavaca. On the D1 side, let's see here. Leon, not too far away from here. They're going to be playing Beckville. That'll be an intriguing matchup on the 2A side. And yeah, that's genuinely about it.
I think Thorndale versus Ganado and Refugio versus Rosebud Lot down in 4A or Region 4 are going to be interesting matchups. And then yeah, I mean, tell me if you can tell me anything about Spearman.
Spearman?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so, I mean, they play New Home. No, never mind, they don't. Dang, if only we could have had New Home versus New Deal. You think I'm joking?
No, I know you're not.
Let's see. Well, they played each other because they were in the same district. So let's see here. New Home versus
and New Deal.
New Deal. Gosh. All right. New Home beat New Deal 29-7. So, yeah. But there's games to watch across the Texas high school football playoffs. And we just want to take a quick peek around the sports world before we
sign off.
I mean, NFL's going on.
Yep, NFL's most of the day just wrapped up. Lions and Eagles play tonight on Sunday Night Football.
So we'll be watching that from Big E's.
Yes, sir. I just got sent this by Colton in our group chat. He said on the caption, "Time is a flat circle." You go back to 2014 and what the AFC standings finished. Pats, Broncos, Steelers, Colts, Bengals. What is the current AFC standings right now?
I'm going to say it's that.
Pats, Colts, Broncos, Steelers, Buffalo, LA.
Who knew Daniel Jones was the second coming of Andrew Luck?
I don't know. Just
if we go back to quarterback development, I said it a couple weeks ago. Bad teams with bad track records of quarterback development, it is what it is. Daniel Jones looks like or Jackson Dart looks like what Daniel Jones looked like as a rookie.
Yeah.
But
and then I'll just say this for the Texans today. A win's a win. You beat the team you were supposed to beat. But did it really have to be that close? I was driving back from Houston. I had a funeral to go to this morning. And then went and got lunch with my dad and my sister and then drove back to get ready for this. and then I just wanted to lay down for a second because I had gone about 550 miles of traveling in 2.5 days.
Trust me, I'm right there with you, man. Driving back from north of Woodville and Colmsnell.
Yeah. So I lay down for a second, turned the game on. I was like, do I want to turn this on? Because I was listening to Mark Vandermeer on the way up until I lost reception. And I turned it on. Titans tie the game with a touchdown, and I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. And then Nico Collins does Nico Collins things and helps get the team into field goal range. Matthew Wright hits the walk-off field goal. Great. Texans are 5-5. Now with the Chiefs losing, the Texans are now the first team out when it comes to the playoffs. So I like where they're at, but now short turnaround. You get to come back home. You got to play Buffalo on Thursday Night Football. And that is not an easy task, given Buffalo ran roughshod on Tampa Bay today, 44-32. My hope is that they left all their offense in Buffalo.
Hey, man, look. Cowboys play tomorrow, Monday Night Football. I'm just gonna have a good time
in Sin City.
Ain't nothing can mess with my football week. My Cougars won, Rattlers won, the Hornets won, the Aggies won. Man,
Bearkats won. My Houston Rockets are looking like one of the best teams in the NBA.
Oh, they're where once football season slows down once both our teams get knocked out of the playoffs and we're kind of slowing down a little bit on the high school football circuit. We can start looking at the NBA, man. I'm excited for this Rockets team, Kevin Durant.
They look really good, and Reed Shepherd's coming into his own. So
yeah, and I want to issue an apology to Reed Shepherd, man. I was unfamiliar with your game. I thought you were going to be learning Mandarin at the end of this year with how he was looking, man. And no, I mean, he ain't going to be playing for the Shanghai Sharks. I can tell you that.
No,
man.
he will not.
Maybe you learn Mandarin because you become the next global ambassador to China's favorite basketball team, thanks to Yao Ming. But
thank you for that, Yao. Rockets are down 3 right now to the Magic early in the second. So.
Yeah, but their past 3 games, they scored 140, 135, and 122. They should have beaten the Spurs. Easily. They should have beaten the Pistons, and they should have beaten the Thunder. I mean, I know that's an 11-point game for the Spurs. But win for the Spurs, which is the biggest deficit that the Rockets have lost by this season. But they were down 2 with the ball with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and then it just kind of all fell apart.
And, well, now you have to do it without Tari Eason for the next 4 to 6 weeks as he's out with an oblique strain.
Yeah, but, man, this team is finally deep.
Yes.
Losing Tari doesn't kill you in the way it would kill other teams.
Sure.
I trust the forward depth.
Can we talk about how bad the Southwest is this year?
Oh my gosh!
It's Houston and San Antonio, and then you got to go into the pit to find Memphis, and then Dallas is a trash heap, and then New Orleans is just underperforming as they always have.
Well, it's New Orleans just being New Orleans, but yeah, I mean, I'm not going to complain that the Mavericks suck.
No, neither am I.
And that the Grizzlies aren't good. I'm watching Jameis highlights right now. I love when that man plays football.
It's so good.
But yeah, no. Yeah, so I just wanted to give a shout-out to the Rockets before we close the pod. But, yeah, another successful Sunday night pod. I think this may be, as we go back and forth, I think this may be what we're going to start doing full-time.
See the reason why I was so iffy about Mondays is, like, my day's already loaded on Mondays.
No, I know.
With meetings, coach's show.
Press conferences.
Press conferences the day after, or even if it lands on a Monday. So, like, there was just a lot going on the day.
Yeah.
But I like this little thing. Sunday nights,
we tune on
in the back half of the late window and things like that. Jameis threw another pick to end the ball game.
Of course he did, man.
So I'm very excited for this to be our regular spot.
Yeah, I'm excited. Get to go live. Okay, we have figured out how to push out the stuff on Spotify and everything. I just can't keep Justin in the background right now, man.
That's not even Justin. That's his kid.
Oh, yeah.
It's his kid or a dog. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
But I think that's yeah.
We have figured out what to do with the Spotify thing, but you're gonna hate me. I forgot to record this.
Oh my gosh.
So we're gonna have to go.
Well, you have to figure that out.
I'll figure that out.
So, but yeah. So as always, make sure you tune in Twitter, Beyond TM Podcast. on social media, on Spotify. We're on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. We're getting them out there. We got last week's episode out there after figuring everything out. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, for Carlos, for Justin Hardcastle, who wasn't in here but showed up anyways, I'm John Clendenin, and have a good night.